call right now for upper exec. Who called it, we don't know, but it's happening right now.
Hello Internet, welcome to Games Done Wrongish.
Hello Internet, welcome to Xbox Game Pass or Play. Today we're going to be looking at Oddworld New and Tasty, which is also known as Oddworld Abe's Oddysee New and Tasty. Why is it known as Oddworld Abe's Oddysee New and Tasty? The reason is it's a remake of Oddworld Abe's Oddysee, the original game which came out on the original PlayStation back in 1997. Now, I do recall playing this game a little bit back in 1997. Or one of these games. There was a few. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, I think, is the one that I remember the most. I'm just having a quick look down the wiki page now. Munch's Oddysee, I think Stranger's Wrath was the one I played the most. But basically, this one is a remake of the original Abe's Oddysee. And with that, you can kind of tell. Well, when I say you can kind of tell, there's nothing bad about it. The game looks great. It looks fantastic. It's been updated. It's been remastered. It's been remade. It looks brilliant. So, this game, if you've not played any before, what Oddworld games, basically what they do is you play as Abe. Abe is a mudderkin. A mudderkin is basically a humanoid, but they're a little bit weird. They're a bit zombified. They've got like an egg-shaped head. Their lips look like they've been laced together, as if they was made to shut up at some point. And yeah, they're a very strange humanoid type of being. And in this game, in this story, as Abe, you work for a company called Rupture Farms. Basically what they're doing is they're creating food, like canned food or boxed food for the other inhabitants of Oddworld, not the Mudderkins. I'm not 100% sure what the name of those creatures are. They're like a big ogre type creature that you're making the food for, but that doesn't really matter too much. The main concept behind it is that you're making the food for them and they're running out of the resources that they need for you to make the food. In this, Abe is more of actually a cleaner at the moment when you start the game. I'm sure he has other jobs within the factory. He quite enjoys his job. He tells you at the start of the game that he really enjoys his life. He's got a good job. He feels financially stable or whatever, happy in his work, and he's pleased to just carry on and do what he's doing. He just happens to be going around vacuuming the offices and things, and he stumbles upon a board meeting. In this board meeting, the board members are discussing the fact that they're running out of the food or the animals that they use to package the current food, and that they don't know what they're going to use for meat. And one of them suggests that the Mudderkins have a lot of meat on them. So why don't they start to farm the Mudderkins and use their meat to make their food products? They agree, and then it's settled. So they're going to start harvesting the Mudderkins and they're going to start packaging them instead. Obviously, Abe overhears this, so he's then running for his life. He knows what's going to happen. He needs to get out, but he wants to help, and he wants to inform his colleagues along the way, and he wants them to escape. How does he do that? Well, Abe is able to kind of talk to the other Mudderkins in the game world. It's very small, little pieces of voice like "follow me," "hey you," "hey everybody," things like that. When he can use these, they can follow him, and then also he can chant. He can basically do his own chant, and then what that does is it can open portals within the game. When these portals are open, all of his colleagues can jump through, and they are teleported off somewhere where they're safe, and Abe gets to carry on through the levels.
Follow me. Everyone.
Well, you're supposed to be helping as many of your colleagues as possible whilst you're escaping. The only thing is the game doesn't really tell you this at this juncture in the game. It doesn't tell you at the start that you should be doing this. Or I missed it. Maybe it did in the background, but I don't think so. If you've played it yourself and it does, and I've simply overlooked it, and let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it does not tell you that you need to be guiding the Mudderkins to these portals and then chant so that they can jump through. I didn't see it anywhere. So I knew from playing the previous Oddworld games that you did have to do something like that. You had to save them. And I had them following me. And then when it came to a dead end, and I couldn't figure out, I'm scratching my head, and I couldn't figure out where they needed to go, I just left them behind. And I went through the door and I carried on. And then once I'd gotten out of the factory, then I met some more Americans that are not working in the factory, that have their own villages and things. And then there was kind of tutorials popping up on screen. You could chant as well, and you'd get text coming up out of these little fire like bugs that would tell you little hints on what to do. And they would teach you to do the chant, and they would teach you to beckon the other Mudokons and teach you all the other different things that you can do within the game. So I started to understand, but by then I'd left a lot of Mudokons behind. I hadn't saved them, which we'll get back to in a little bit. So from then on, you're out then, you've escaped, and you're meeting up in these villages, and you have this guy with a long face. It basically is a Mudokon with a big mask on, like.
Then I fell down a cliff. And smashed my head. When some big face appeared and said I was dead. Said our land was changing, was imbalanced at best. He told me my fate was to rescue the rest. For paramites and scraps had been sacred blood.
And he's basically putting you through these tests. And what you're doing is you're kind of praying to the two animals that you've been slaughtering in this food processing plant for years, in order to get a buff off them, a kind of a special ability that will allow you then to go back into the plant and rescue everyone else and shut the place down. That is your main concept of the game. How you do that is by a kind of puzzle platforming. Abe can jump, he can roll, he can run, and he can pick up things like rocks and bombs and throw them. So he can throw a bomb and hopefully take out the enemies. Try not to kill the Mudokons that are usually in and around. You have to use that to your advantage. Just try, and sometimes you may as well just go on the screen a little bit and then run away so that the enemy comes chasing you. Jump up and then throw a bomb down at him so that you only kill him, not the Mudokons, so that you can save more of them. And each time you're going through different levels, and it starts off basically you need to get out of the way of the guys with guns. You're unable to fire back, other than, as I say, throwing the bombs. But what you can do is you can try and mind control them. So you start chanting. But if there's one of the slugs or sligs, I think they're called, something like that. If there's one of those around, which you'll see on screen now, you can chant and you can basically mind control them. You take over those, and then you can use those to shoot at the other ones. Or there may be like little dog creatures coming at you that come really fast, and if they bite you, Abe will die. So you can use them to take them out. And you need to use all these different things and work out what you should be destroying, what you need to keep alive. Sometimes you don't want to destroy everything on the level. You might need one or two of the characters to pull a lever, or you might need them to operate a computer, things like that. So you don't want to always go destroying everything. Sometimes you cannot take over them straight away, so you've got to hope and pray that you can run past them or roll past them, jump, get out of the way, come back later when you've flicked a few switches and whatnot and opened up areas that you didn't have access to later. It's your basic puzzle solving, and you'll go over that time and time again. Pretty much same thing over and over. Maybe the odd enemy here and there. Nothing too different really. There are like scarab type mobs as well that will also kill you, but they're just pretty much a bigger dog. I mean, if the dog hits you, you're gonna die. The dog type enemies. And if these big scarabs hit you, you're going to die. But the thing with the scarab guys is that if there's two of those in the same area, they'll fight each other rather than you. One will become victorious and will come after you anyway, so you've still got an enemy, you've still got a threat, unless you have a bomb that you can throw at them and blow them up with. Other than that, you can make it a little bit easier by having them fight each other, and then there's only one instead of two that you have to deal with. And that's it. You basically go through the same game loop over and over, but as time goes by, you'll be chased by the dogs. So that means you have to do things a bit faster. So you'll have to do the jumps a bit quicker and work out how to get up and down and quickly. You may need a dog to basically jump up on an edge, get a dog to go under, and then you come back, jump over, run the other way quickly whilst the dog's still chasing you. Get up and just do things like that to get past a certain area. You need a dog to chase you one way, then chase you back the other, pull a switch, then maybe go back that way. It's those kind of things, and they speed it up with the chases and stuff like that. A little later on, you'll get an animal that you can ride on called an ellum. This is quite fun. It doesn't do much. It doesn't attack. It doesn't do anything that. It just can jump further distances. So then you've got an extra added element that you need to use to solve the puzzles. So you'll find jumps that are a bit too long for Abe to get across. So then you need to get on the ellum and jump across those with your rideable mount. But that's not always possible, because he might not be able to get up a lift, or because he can't climb. Sometimes in order to get him up the level, you may have to find a lift or find a switch for a lift. So you may have to go through a section of the level first to lower a lift down, and then put the element on the lift and get it to wait there whilst you lift you both up to the next part and things like that. That's how the game introduces more mechanics, to try and mix things up. But it doesn't really go much further than that. And if you've played the games before, you might be well familiar. It's a long time ago. I mean, 1997, or you could be talking 20 years ago since you last played one of these, if you hadn't played any of the other ones after that. So it's a long time to try and remember. The old muscle memory's gone by now. It's one of those that I would recommend getting in and giving it a try. If you're as old as me and you remember these from back then, you may get a nostalgia kick out of it. I did, and as soon as I started playing, I was like, oh, I remember these. I remember these from when I was younger on the original PlayStation. These were great back then. I'm so sure how great I think they are now. It was good though. It was good to get into it, and it kept me busy. And I had my family watching me, and they were entertained with me doing it. And they was like, "Oh, you should have jumped there." Well, of course I should have jumped there. That's why I'm not alive anymore, because I didn't jump there. You know what family are like, but it's great to have that there. The people saying the obvious, but still giving you support when you get it right. Like, well done, stuff like that. That's great. All that is by the by though. What I was getting to earlier about saving the Mudokons, it really comes into its own later on, because there are multiple endings to this game, and it depends on the amount of Mudokons that you save, what kind of ending you're going to get. So as I was saying, I had my family watching me. Well, unfortunately, because I didn't know what to do at the start, and I didn't really pay that much attention to who I was saving, whether I was blowing them up as I killed the enemies, or whether I left them behind because I just wanted to get through the door at the end of the level after I'd just had a frantic chase and things like that. Some of the time I just left things behind, and when it got to the end I hadn't really saved enough, and I probably got the worst ending possible, and my family were gutted. They were gutted, but with the ending. That we'd gone through all of that together, and then I got that ending. I won't spoil anything. You'll have to play it to find out. And if you're gonna go for the achievements, if you're gonna go to get the full 1000 gamer score, you will have to complete it twice. You'll have to finish it at least twice, I think. And I don't know if there's a way of making a save at a certain point. But I didn't look into how many Mudokons you need, and even if I did, I wouldn't tell you, because I wouldn't spoil it, to get the different endings. I did not look into that. What I did do is I know that I didn't get enough, and I know that that is the key to getting the different endings. It all goes off the Mudokons. There is a scoreboard in the world that you walk past quite often in the different levels, and it will tell you how many Mudokons are basically in the world, how many have escaped, and how many are casualties. So you might be able to figure out by the time you get to the end. But what I would recommend, if you can, is just playing it twice. Once you get used to it, once you get used to where everything is, it does become a bit easier. There is a section right near the last level. It's a bit of a time thing, so you need to get things done fairly quickly there. That was probably the most difficult level for me. The others just took time to work out where I needed to get, when I needed to run, when I needed to jump. Time in the jumps was a bit of a pain as well, because the sensitivity on the movements of Abe wasn't great. So you basically, if you touch the thumbstick a little, you'll walk slowly, and if you move it a lot, then it starts to run. The problem is the sensitivity on that, and where it changes exactly, it just wasn't great. The sensitivity wasn't great, so I'd end up running when I didn't want to, or I'd end up walking and stopping when I actually wanted to run or to jump. To jump in a certain direction, I'd probably just end up jumping up in the air instead, and then I'd get shot because I wasn't quick enough. or I'd want to just jump up and I'd end up jumping forwards or backwards. There was a lot of times where there was a lot of unnecessary deaths that I had to redo whole sections again, and to me it was because of that sensitivity, it was because of the feel of the jump. Maybe if you play the game a lot, you get used to it, you know exactly where the point is, and maybe you can even change the sensitivity in the options. I didn't look. It's something I should have done. If you play it and you check the options, let me know, because big oversight for me. I didn't like the sensitivity. Maybe I could have changed it, and that would have helped a lot. But I finished the game. Will I go and do it again to get the other ending? Probably have to at some point, because like I say, my family are very upset with the ending. Probably not going to let that go until I do it again and get the good ending. So yeah, probably. Which brings me on to a bit of a wrap up and an overview. So firstly, the achievements. The game has 36 achievements for your 1000G. You know, as I've said, there are multiple endings, and I think each ending has an achievement attached to it. So you may have to play this game through multiple times. Now, I'm looking at trueachievements.com for this information, and they're basically saying, along with there being 36 achievements, that it's going to take you 15 to 20 hours to complete this and get them all, which is probably correct. I'd say I played around 10, 11 hours maybe, something like that, on my first playthrough. Your second playthrough is probably going to be a bit quicker, but I'm not sure you'll get everything. I'm not sure you'll get all of the achievements within those. You may need to go back and do some other things as well. Oh no, actually there's an achievement which you have to complete the whole thing and save everybody within 30 minutes or something like that, which I think is crazy. It does mean the game can be done in 30 minutes, but not by me. There's no way I can do it in 30 minutes. And if you try it, you'll see yourself that may be one of those crazy achievements that not many people will be getting. That was definitely got to be a rare achievement. I picked up a few rare achievements myself, but I feel that is because not enough people are playing the game, not because that they're difficult, just that people just not playing it. Not enough people perhaps even know about it, or they checked it out and didn't like it, which would be surprising when you look at these scores. So you see Metacritic itself, the professional reviews, if you will, give it 86 out of 100. The user reviews give it 8.3 out of 10. That's really high, I thought. And to have all of these rare achievements popping up with scores like this, what's going on? IGN next give it 8.5 and GameSpot give it 8. Now for me, do I give it an 8 and 8.5? I can't really. I mean, where's the ceiling? I cannot give it a fan. It's too close to the ceiling. There's so many games that I know are in Game Pass that I know blow the socks off this game. You know, they're so much better. But I don't know whether I'll be playing those because I'm not going for the mainstream games. I'm going for the more of the games that people might not have played or might not have heard of. I'm just trying to bring them to the front. That's the whole point of this series. I don't know if playing the mainstream ones would be worthwhile for a series like this, but it might do. But anyway, if I do play that, or if I come across a gem, I want to have, somewhere to go with it. And me giving this game an 8.5, I feel like, I'm going to have to be giving games 9s and 10s later on, which I know are good, but I don't think they deserve 9s and 10s either. So I'm going to have to rail this one back in a little bit. And I'm also going to tell you why. The game is fine. The graphics are great. If you liked the Oddworld games in the past, you're going to like it now. But as I said, the controls are a little bit sticky, a little bit off. The sensitivity wasn't there for me. Could be an options thing, could be fixable. That's on me for not checking that out. But this is my review, so I'm going to decide that I'm going to go around a 7. And that's because it is better than last week's The Late Shift. Definitely. In all aspects, really. Yeah. Well, not all aspects, but the story. Now, I gave Late Shift last week some points knocked off for the story, but I think it had a better story than this one, to be fair. But this one's a very simple story, and with it being a remake of an old game, 1997, I'm going to let that go. Because the gameplay is superb, the gameplay is fantastic. Other than that sensitivity issue that I had, I think that's all, you can overcome that. I think you can overcome that and you can get used to that sensitivity, you can get used to it. Well, I know you can because I've finished the game, so obviously you can. So with that, you know, the puzzles are tough, but not impossible. They're just, you need to take your time sometimes and think it out, or you have to rush and just get through and not think too much. And it's just knowing where to switch that up, where to change that, when to run, when to wait. You'll learn these as you play the levels over and over, which you'll do every time you die. You do the same level, and generally the checkpoints are quite well placed as well. So you're not going too far back. You'll die and you'll just start somewhere close by, fairly close by anyway, and then you'll just be able to do those last few bits you did and catch straight up. And I didn't ever feel too punished when I died. I felt like it was fair. Where I would start next was fair, and you'd be able to get through, which kept you going on, and made it more enjoyable and made it worth playing through till the end. So that's it. That's my review of Oddworld, new and tasty, Abe's Oddysee. What do you think? Have you played it? Are you going to play it? Any thoughts on the game, put them down in the comments below. And if you've got a game in mind that you would like to see on this series, that you want to bring to the forefront to me or your friends or anybody you want to share the video with, put the name of the game down in the comments below. Tell me why you might think that game would be relevant to me or anybody that might watch these videos, and I'll see if I can get around to reviewing that one for you as well. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you next time.
If you like this video, please consider watching another. 2 suggestions will be on screen now. Also, if you have not subscribed already, please do so by clicking the icon in the middle of this screen. Every view and subscription will go a long way to helping the channel grow, and in turn will result in more content for you. Thank you, and until the next time, goodbye.